One of the things that I noticed a lot when I was here for 2 weeks. Remember when I told you I was I
Oh,
was here for
alone.
2 weeks by myself. My kids went to the East Coast, and my kids and my wife, and they left me here. They left me behind, and I stayed here by myself for 2 weeks alone. And during I decided I was going to take those 2 weeks for myself to do like shadow work, to just work on myself and just listen to myself, to sit in silence. And oh my God, I, that was crazy. Um, I never like I learned so much about myself during that time. Being alone is, at first you think that's a bad thing, but it's not. Being alone is one of the things that could be that being alone in the darkness is one of the best things that could happen to you. And
Mhm.
being here, I remember like everything that I was going through, all the emotions that were coming up. It was every day, like feeling heavy, stuff coming out, crying, especially the days that I'm fat that I fast because I also do fasting and those days because since I'm not drinking alcohol now, the fasting will cut out the food also. So there was no way for me to escape. I'll be here at home with nobody, no food, no alcohol. Oh my God, I faced everything. Everything would just come up and I would just cry. And that's when I really learned to surrender. I surrender, uh, when I put everything in the hands of the universe. When I was just, universe, you got it from here. I'm no longer going to be in control. I'm not going to control my life. Forget it. I had all these ideas, all this stuff that I was doing. Uh, they were not my hires. I didn't really like them. I had no idea what I'm going to do in my life. I have no clue. You take it. You do whatever you want with it. I'm your servant now. That's all I am. I'm here to serve you, and you do what you want with me, and I'll just follow what you tell me. You make, and I remember saying that, and that was a tough one. That was a tough one to do because to give up control, that's one of to give up control in your life of your life is one of the toughest things you could do. But I learned so much from it, and I remember this one time. I was meditating. This was like the beginning of the next week or the second week. I was there, I think it was a Monday, and I was like just in the silence and I asked, how uh how is this all serving me, right? How is all serving me? Like I was like, universe, what am I supposed to do? What what do you need from me? What is my next step? And I was sitting there and I was just I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here until I hear my answer in the quiet. I mean, I have nowhere to go. I got the whole day. I could stay here for the
Yeah.
whole day. I could sit here for the whole day. And I'm like, I just sat there, and then I heard something. But I, it's like I heard my voice, but I wasn't thinking it. It was like I was
Mhm.
myself with my own voice, but I was not thinking that. It was like a different voice, but it was using my voice. It's like I channel something or whatever. And he said to me, I'll I'll tell you your next step when you balance your energy. Then it showed me a chart. Like I saw an image of like a chart, and it was one of those graphical things like the stick one is higher than the other, whatever.
Yeah.
And it had a line in the middle that said balance. And this is the crazy part because the one that was up here on the bottom, like the label said feminine energy, and
Mm.
on the other side it said masculine. So it basically said so basically what I got from it was it said you need to balance you need to bring your masculine energy up. So your feminine energy is high, and that's good. but you need to match it. You need to balance. You need to bring up your masculine
You
energy.
so didn't tell me this when
No,
it
I
happened.
didn't because it's one of those things I was not. Plus, we were talking to text and it's everything. I don't
Yeah.
like typing so much, but but I didn't say that because that was at the same time when I was asking myself like, why do I need to tell everybody? I don't need to tell everybody anything, because I'm not trying to feed the ego. You know what I mean? I don't want to go and run to somebody like, hey, look what happened to me. Look what happened to me. Because then we get into the competition. Oh, who's having what? Who's happening to?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that can totally happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And and then so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep that one to myself. But now I felt like it was a perfect opportunity to say it. But I was like, okay, and I told my wife about this, and like, okay, I need to bring my masculine energy up. And I remember I told you yesterday. Sometimes I feel like my feminine energy is a little much more higher. That's why I have had more female friends in my life. I feel like that energy. I just feel more emotional. I feel more connected to nature. I feel more connected to the universe because I got, the male energy is more of the, hey, the doer, the doer part. Let's get it done. You
Knock this
know,
shit out.
yeah, let's knock the shit out. Let's, if we got to plant 100 trees, let's get it done because that's my passion. The
Yeah.
female side will be like, oh my God, they're killing us. You know, I love trees. I can't believe they're doing that. So your masculine will come in and be like, hey, let's plant 100 trees. Let's go and let's do it.
I want to
So,
interject real quick. I don't want you to forget, but to bring into astrology, since I know you don't really know much about it, but Mars is the masculine energy, which is all about action and doing. And then Venus is like the female, the nature, the beauty and all that stuff. Because I want to be able to talk to you about your chart and stuff at some point.
yeah, I keep asking my mother. She's like, I'm looking for it. I'm like,
But
okay, fine.
it'd be really neat to know like what you're at during this conversation, like what your Venus and Mars are. I know I looked it up, but I forgot. Like I think you had a lot of Taurus or something, which would if your Taurus isn't no, I don't think your Taurus is Venus. But we'll talk about that because you'll see what I'm talking about. I promise. Since we're on the same wavelength with like all this stuff, you'll understand when you understand your chart.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no, definitely. That's awesome. That's exactly like I told you about it. I'm interested in hearing. That's why I was like, hey, you got to do one for me. I'm interested in hearing that. But but yeah, I was, so basically what he told me is like until you get your energy, your male energy up or your masculine energy up, you ain't gonna be ready. And so I decided, ever since I got that message, I was like, okay, how? But then the ego kicked in, like, okay, now you gotta go watch a whole bunch of videos about about the masculine energy, how to bring it up, how to bring it up. And I
Yeah.
caught myself too after like a few days. I was like, wait a minute, who is really thinking about all this stuff? Ah, there you go. You tricked me, you freaking you
Bastard.
tricked me, you freaking bastard. Okay, fine. So then I was like, I already got enough knowledge. I don't need to keep looking. I'm just gonna do what I know already. I'm just gonna just be myself and just whatever. And that's when the whole thing about that I talked about in the video that I posted earlier, that I'm no longer this is where that came from. Like I'm no longer gonna take action in the traditional way that people know it. From now on, I'm taking inspire action. That's the only action I'm taking. And once I started saying that, ideas started flowing into my head, like
Mm-hmm.
like the ones the one we're doing right now, like this.
It's like what we
Like
said earlier about your mind is not going to give you the ideas. It's source that's going to give you the ideas. So when you're present and you just let go and you're like, whatever, like whenever I
yeah,
feel it, that's when all the ideas come in. And that's why we could talk for like over 3 hours last night because there was no like, what do I say next? Like, what do I do?
exactly, exactly.
But I can feel myself right now doing that. So I'm like, which I wanted to be able to call out, like, we're not perfect. And so I know a lot of people that will come on these things will act like, oh, I'm just always in the flow. And I'm like, no, I'm sitting here like totally worried every few minutes, like, oh my God, what am I going to say? And then I'm like, oh my God, no, just be it like we normally are. And I'm struggling with it. So I just wanted to be honest with that so people can see that it's just not
Yeah.
always just easy.
Yeah, it's not always easy, and you're gonna go through that stuff, and that was a big step for me when I said that. It was like that's what the universe wanted me to know. It was like the male, that's what he said, because the action is the male energy, and basically he was trying to tell me with that image that my male energy was all screwed up, you're thinking it the wrong way. That's why it's so low. It's not activated. So once I thought, okay, I'm not taking action unless the universe tell me to. So until I get that inspired action, I ain't doing it. Look,
Do you think it was low because you overthought, like, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that, like you thought you needed to be doing these things? Like, I'm just curious where
yeah,
your mind was
yeah,
at.
no, I think it was. And I think because of that, it kept it um deactivated because I
Mhm.
was not using it properly. I was I was trying to tap into it the wrong way, basically. Like 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 trying to get into a car through the trunk.
Well, I mean, you could, I guess.
You
Like,
could,
I
you
mean,
could, but it's gonna be a lot harder than if you just open your
just
car
open the
door.
door.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot harder. Like that's exactly like I was trying to do. I was trying to push myself into it, and then the universe is like, until you realize that you could just use this door, I ain't gonna tell you where you have to go because you don't even know how to get in the car.
Yeah,
How I'm
yeah,
gonna tell you go to this place over here when you don't even know how to get in the car yet?
yeah.
You're trying to
That
get
makes
into the
so,
trunk.
that's great. That's perfect. That's perfect. Perfect way to
So
illustrate it.
yeah, and then that's when I was like, oh, okay, you're right, my bad. Um, I'll get into that though. Okay, sorry. And then you're right, you're right. No shame here, no shame here though. And I decided to when I said I'm just gonna let you tell me where to go. That's when I realized that it was through the front door, and I was able to get in, and I was able to turn on my car and start driving because now the universe was able to program my GPS to go
Yes,
where it's
that's
supposed to go.
perfect. Yeah.
And, and that's because I allow it to. Before I was like thinking, I was trying to control it myself. I was thinking the way I was doing it was the right way, trying to go into the trunk and telling the universe to shut up. And the
Just
universe
let
is
me
like,
do it.
and the universe is like, they're like, okay, you can keep trying.
Looking at its watch.
Yeah,
How much longer are we gonna do this?
yeah, okay. Tell me when you're done. Tell me when you give up, and then I'll help you out. When
That's
you
so
give up,
perfect. Yeah. I'm always gonna think about that. That's perfect.
yeah, because that's exactly what I was doing, and that's what he told me. Yeah, you're getting everything right, like every meditation, all the stuff, all the shadow work and everything. That's what brought your energy, your female energy up. Like, it's good. You did great on that. You're doing amazing. But you're forgetting one part, and we got to work on that one before I tell you where to go.
I just want to
And
add, going back to what happened like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't know. I'm not good at time. When you said, well, why I don't need to tell everybody because then it becomes a competition. Just to add to it, just in case, I don't know. I just feel called to say it. Like, if you find somebody like what we have, then I feel like it's so different. But there's totally other people that I feel it's that energy. Well, they're doing that. So, like, oh my God, I must be, oh no, like I'm behind or whatever. So if you feel comfortable with someone, I don't think there's anything wrong. Just in case anybody was to hear that and be like, oh, so I'm not supposed to tell anybody. But just use discernment. And if you feel safe and comfortable with someone and You're just
Hmm.
telling them because you're like, wow, this is so cool. And like, how many times have we done that? And then the exact same things were happening to us. I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Like,
Exactly. But at the time, I also remember, um, at that time, I only knew you for like what, a week, maybe two, and that's one. And then two, the point that you were at that time was completely different. So I don't know if
mhm.
that information would have been able to help you because you probably would have been like, this guy
Well,
is
it doesn't
talking about.
always have to be able to help. Like sometimes, kind of like Kyle was saying, like God thinking, where if you just feel like I want to tell this person because we're close and we're sharing this journey, even if I'm like super depressed, because I've kind of found myself when you're in a bad mood, like like, oh, I don't know if I want to say this, and I'm like, oh, then I feel bad. Like if I'm in a bad mood and you're in a good mood, I'm like, man, I hope he doesn't feel like he's making me feel worse.
That
And
no.
but we're so self-aware of that, so I feel
Hmm.
still safe that I could say anything, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
And then yeah, I developed that trust with you now. And that's why the other yesterday I was telling you, hey, at first I didn't tell you something, but then I ended up telling you later on because I felt it was the right time, and then I told you because I developed that trust with you. And we also got that relationship now that you pretty much, even if I trigger you for some reason, you tell me and you'd be
Triggered
like,
right now, you know why? Because I'm afraid people will think that I'm triggered that you didn't tell me, but I'm actually only triggered by the thought of people might think that. Isn't that wild? like like they're sitting here thinking like, oh my god, she's totally upset about it. Like
uh,
that is what upsets me, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, that's so silly, that's so
but
silly, but
but you
it's
know
okay.
something, but you know something. To be honest, even if it was true, that's totally okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I still
Yeah,
love you anyway. I still love you anyway. Even if
yeah.
even and I'm still gonna feel the same way I feel about you when it comes to everything, right? Because we have that connection. So if that was the case,
And I'm still not there yet where I can trust that. Like even earlier when we were messaging or whatever, and you're like, well, how long? And I'm like, like I was sitting there with sopping wet hair. And I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna hate, like those were the thoughts. And I'm so the awareness. So I'm sitting there watching those thoughts. Even though I know they're not me, they feel so real. So I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, like he's just going to be so annoyed by me that I'm not doing it right now and I'm not ready. And like, oh my God. But it's like, that's why sometimes it's a blessing and a curse to be self aware because you're like, oh my God, I'm being neurotic right now, but you can't make them stop. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm.
So
I was
saying
not
I'm
even
not
thinking
there
that.
yet, like it's me, not you.
Yeah, I was not even close to even thinking about that. I was trying to just get to the call. I was like, I told her 8 her time, so I gotta, I gotta,
But
I
isn't
gotta
that
be on time.
funny? Isn't that funny how we do that with people in our life? And like it comes back to the Kyle being in the elevator thing. Like, if you would just tell people, like, hey, I'm totally thinking that you think this about me. So could you clear it up for me? Or this is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think it's good
because
to try to have that.
like the hot seat that we saw the other day, right? That's exactly one of the things that she had a problem. She kept assuming that Kyle was thinking of something that he
Hmm.
wasn't even thinking about.
And that's what was
Uh,
triggering me so much because I was like, I do
yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
me. I always assume what the other person,
Well, not
always.
yeah, not just you. That's a lot of us. I do the same thing too. And especially, oh my God, when I was in the military, I used to do that. My whole freaking time there was just that. Like every time I see somebody's face, I literally used to be like, "Oh, he probably thinking I'm an idiot. I'm that guy that freaking got drunk at the bar the other day and almost got into a fight. I bet you he's thinking that right now." I literally used to say that. Literally,
And this is so perfect because people need to know that, like, once you become spiritual or you have an awakening, like, that stuff doesn't just automatically go away. And for some people, maybe they've done the exact work and maybe it is time. Like, let's say Aaron, for instance, his platform is he's helping millions that need that logical teaching. So maybe the universe wanted those thoughts to stop so that he could logically make all those series. But maybe in our case, it's not, even though we're aware of it and we can be like, oh, you're allowed to do that in my body, do all the steps that we're supposed to and just allow it. Maybe it's not leaving because other people need to see, that it's totally normal to, it's
yeah,
totally possible and it's totally
yeah. It's
normal to
totally,
still assume that people don't
yeah.
like you.
It's totally normal because that's the point that you are in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know you know, like basically like when you are going through, let's say boot camp, right? In boot camp, they in boot camp, by the end of the end of boot camp, they're trying to get you in a type of physical shape that you are able to pass their test. But they don't expect you to pass their test on the third week of boot camp because you're not there yet. So if you could only do 5 push-ups on the third day, even though they're gonna yell at you, at the end of boot camp, they actually tell you, hey, that was okay. Because that's part of the process. At that point, that's where you were. And we were trying to get you here, but we made you work out harder so you could get here. And that's the same thing. Like when it comes to awakening, like this is the point that you are right now. So you are supposed
And
to
don't
experience
rush
it.
it.
Yeah, don't rush it.
As I tell myself that.
Yeah, just enjoy it where you at right now. Next week you're gonna be in a completely different place, and then next week you're gonna. But right now, in the now, you're gonna be. That's where you are right now. Don't fight it. Just feel it.
I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people. So when I started, it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, because Christianity just was not working for me. Like the resentment, I spent most of my life trying to understand the resentment. But then when I started learning about spirituality, like I just wanted to be like, okay, well, I need to get to this part and I need to be doing this, this, and this, because like I watched this video and then I watched this video and then I watched that video and then it's like, oh my God. And I think people just need to like, it's okay. As somebody who went through this for years, like it's totally okay. But maybe if, I don't know, if you feel called to like watch a whole bunch of things and try a whole bunch of things, I would always offer to people, do whatever you want until something resonates. Then when you find something that resonates, stick with it until it no longer resonates, because it will fall off. It will, and it will lead you to the next